Welcome back, everybody, to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. You can also follow us on YouTube. Got some great video content. Our YouTube handle is at LA Rams Up. You can follow us on Instagram as well. I'm your host, Mark. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back, Ram fans. Episode 192 of Rams Up here. We're going to get through some Rams news and notes. The big focus of this episode is going to be roster battles. I'm going to run down the list of the 10 roster battles to watch with our Los Angeles Rams. A lot more than we've had in recent years for these Rams, that's for sure. Battles for roster spots, battles for starting positions all over the field, almost every position group. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get through some Rams news and notes. The Rams signed Tyler Johnson. He was just waived recently by the Raiders, originally drafted in 2020 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 5th round. He was a big-time receiver at the University of Minnesota. You could argue their best receiver ever, finished with 3,305 yards receiving, 33 touchdowns there for the Golden Gophers. Hasn't translated too well in the NFL. Not a burner, not a lot of speed, but super physical. Known for winning contested balls, using his body, using his strength. His playing style, receiving style was compared to A.J. Brown coming out in the draft. Not nearly as big as A.J. Brown, but that style of receiver. I'm wondering if the Rams just needed that type of player in camp to work on these smaller cornerbacks, guys like Hodges Tomlinson. Size-wise, Johnson fits the Rams' profile. 5 of their receivers very similar in size now. Van Jefferson and Tyler Johnson, both 6'1". Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, both 6'2". Lance McCutcheon, 6'3", and the weights for these guys, Kupp 208, Jefferson 200, Nacua and Johnson both 205, and McCutcheon 202. And then you got the little guys, Austin Trammell and Tutu Atwell. Rams certainly have a profile they prefer when it comes to wide receiver, so it seems anyways. Is there an outlier? Yes, there is. Ben Skowronek, 6'3", 224. Ram ruminations. What are other people saying about the Rams? Adam Shine of NFL.com is buying stock in Cam Akers. He pointed out that Akers racked up 611 total yards and 6 touchdowns in his final 6 weeks last season, 100 yards rushing or more in 3 straight outings to close out the year. And Cam is only 24 years old on opening day, so Cam Akers is one of Adam Shine's sneaky good players coming up in 2023. You know, if there's a Mount Rushmore of Ram haters, well, we know who they all are. Colin Cowherd might be on the Mount Rushmore of Ram boosters. He really likes Sean McVay, and he loves the way the Rams do business. And he's predicting 3 teams from the NFC West will make the playoffs, including the Rams. Says the Cowboys losing Kellen Moore is a big deal. That's really going to hurt their offensive production. And Cowherd's just asking the question, where are the wild card teams coming from in the NFC? And I'm going to talk about that coming up in another episode. Going to get into that real deep. My focus is going to be the NFC quarterbacks, but Cowherd's just asking the question, who are the wild card teams? Hey, you love the Eagles? Probably love the Seahawks and 49ers. Lions going to win that division. Who else is there? So Cowherd's got a point. I know a lot of people are writing off the Rams, but there's playoff spots up for grabs in the NFC. Not so much in the AFC, but in the NFC, there's going to be some pretty good teams. Not great teams, just some pretty good teams that make the playoffs. And if you're looking for a well-thought-out article on the NFC West race, check out the piece by CBS writer Garrett Podell. I think I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Really nice to see a writer who takes the time to do the analysis, fair analysis, and present things in an orderly and logical fashion. And I think he nails it, saying that the Niners, Seahawks, and the Rams are all positioned for potential playoff runs. Very refreshing, especially after reading some of these other pieces, these other opinions where these guys just go off immediately. The Rams are horrible. The Rams are going to be atrocious. Podell's article really nails it. Highly recommend it. Last week I mentioned Bill Barnwell of ESPN ranked the Rams offseason 31st out of 32 teams. Pro Football Focus feels a little bit better about how the Rams did. They didn't rank them, but they gave the Rams a B, and a commenter on that page that I saw this on noted that the Rams may have had the most balanced 14-player draft in the history of the NFL. I believe this was on their Los Angeles Rams subreddit. Good discussion there about Pro Football Focus and their grades. Now, Mark Sessler of NFL.com, he was calling out what every team needs to do over the rest of this offseason, and he thinks the Rams should keep an open mind about moving Matthew Stafford. That's their biggest remaining offseason priority. I don't know. That's not really where I would go with this. I'd see maybe find another cornerback to help that unit out, maybe add an inside linebacker. Sessler pretty much given up on the Rams, I guess, their offseason priority. Hey, let's not forget, we can always trade Matthew Stafford if things go south. I don't know. Didn't get much value out of that take. Kurt Warner stepping up for Torrey Holt, saying he belongs in the Hall of Fame. Yes, Kurt, I agree. Over his career, 13,382 yards and 74 touchdowns. Made 7 Pro Bowls, 8 straight seasons with over 1,000 yards, and helped the Rams win a Super Bowl as a rookie, and still waiting for that call from the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt, man, I hope it's next year. One of my favorite players all time. Such a great guy and so overlooked and underrated. Now, Davante Adams listed his top receivers. I went down that list last episode. It's just a fun thing these guys do. Whatever. Can't take it too seriously. Davante's probably not happy with Pro Football Focus's wide receiver rankings. They had Cooper Kupp at number 6. Davante Adams made no mention of Cooper Kupp in his top 7. He did mention Calvin Ridley, who Pro Football Focus rated as number 28. So big delta between Davante Adams and Pro Football Focus when it comes to Kupp and Calvin Ridley anyways. Now we're going to get into my top 10 position battles, the battles within Rams roster groups. It's going to be a little bit of fun here. And I have another sports pet peeve, courtesy of Major League Baseball. That'll be at the very end here. Seems like a perfect time to identify the position battles, the roster battles that are of most interest to us Ram fans, and that's what I'm going to do here. My original intent was to do my fearsome 4 biggest roster battles, and couldn't do it. I couldn't limit it to 4. I have 10 of them here for you, but why not? Let's talk about the top 10 position battles, the roster battles that are going to happen with these Rams. Not in any particular order. Roster battle number 1, the wide receiver number 3 spot. Kupp is 1, Jefferson's 2. Pretty confident about that. Next up, Tutu Atwell, Ben Skowronek, and then Nakua, the rookie. No, I'm not mentioning Lawrence McCutcheon here. Now, I have a feeling all 3 of these guys are going to get snaps, but who's going to be the true number 3? The rookie, Ben Skowronek, or Tutu Atwell? My guess is early in the year it will be Atwell, and in certain situations, Skowronek. But by the end of the year, watch out for that rookie. Roster battle number 2, right guard. Now, Noteboom and Alaric Jackson apparently battling for the left tackle spot. I really think the rookie Avila is going to nail down the left guard spot. Brian Allen, I think, is going to be penciled in at center. And then Havenstein, locked in at right tackle. That leaves right guard Coleman Shelton and Logan Bruss. Now, there's a chance Shelton could beat out Allen for the starting center spot. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I know a lot of Ram fans would like that to happen, but I'm penciling in Brian Allen as a starting center because that gives the Rams a lot more flexibility. And then you have Shelton and Bruss fighting it out for that last starting job. Not to write off guys like Tremaine Ankrum or even the rookie Warren McClendon, but right now that appears to be how it's shaken down. Bruss versus Shelton for right guard. Roster battle number 3. How about the safety group? Jordan Fuller is going to be a starter, right? He'll be one of the starters. Next up, is it Russ Yeast or Quentin Lake or maybe even the rookie Taylor or two of these undrafted free agents? Rashad Torrance or Quindell Johnson? Could be, but I think it's going to be between Yeast and Lake, battling it out for playing time as the number 2 safety. I suspect Yeast will be ahead of Lake on the depth chart to start things off, but Quentin Lake was drafted before Yeast, if that means anything. Just got held back because of that injury. That's going to be a dogfight, I think, for that safety spot. Roster battle number 4, pretty obvious, the edge rushing group. Who are the top 2 guys right now? Michael Hoyt and Daniel Hardy? Your guess is as good as mine. I think one of them's Hoyt. Next up, Daniel Hardy, I suppose, but you know Byron Young's going to come on strong, and Nick Hampton. Don't forget about Keir Thomas coming back. O'Shawn Mathis. That's going to be a dogfight between all those guys. I'm not even convinced Hoyt will be the number 1 edge rusher. Too early to say, but I think all 6 of these guys have a shot at being one of the top 2 edge rushers. The guy that's probably my last choice at this point, Keir Thomas, but we'll have to see. This is going to be one to keep a close eye on. Ram fans, we got to be hoping Byron Young is one of those top 2, given where they drafted him at. Roster battle number 5, cornerback. Again, I think we have our number 1 starter, Kobe Durant. After that, Darion Kendrick, Robert Rochelle, Hodges Tomlinson, Sean Jolly, Vincent Gray, the guy they just picked up. That's another group that I'm not overly impressed with at this point, but the Rams seem to be happy with it, waiting till the 6th round to draft a cornerback. But after Durant, man, 2 spots up for grabs, the number 2 corner and the number 3 corner. Roster battle number 6 at tight end. Let's deduce for a moment that Tyler Higbee is on this roster on opening day. He is the number 1 tight end. Who is the number 2 tight end? Bryson Hopkins, I would assume, but I think Davis Allen and Hunter Long are both coming for that job. And if Higbee is released, then it's just a battle for number 1 and number 2. Roster battle number 7, the running back pecking order. Obviously, Cam Akers is the starter. Who's number 2? Kyron Williams, I guess right now, but you think Zach Evans is going to be gunning for that. And my guess is Evans will be the number 2 back with Kyron Williams playing more of a specialty role. But it's going to be a fight for that number 2 spot between those two, and don't write off Ronnie Rivers or the undrafted rookie Tyon Evans. Roster battle number 8. Who's our second inside linebacker? After Ernest Jones, Jake Hummel, Christian Roseboom. There's 3 undrafted rookies that have a shot. Anya Labechi, Smenda, and Square. From the podcast pronunciation perspective, I'll be rooting for Square. But after Ernest Jones, I think all 5 of these guys will be squaring up for that number 2 inside linebacker spot. And the pecking order after that, going to carry at least 3, right? Roster battle number 9, QB2. Now, we're all assuming it's Stetson Bennett, but then there's Brett Rypien. I think early in the season, the second quarterback in would be Rypien, but eventually it's got to be Stetson Bennett. And roster battle number 10, left tackle. I think it's really down to Alaric Jackson and Joseph Noteboom. Noteboom coming back from the injury, if he's healthy, I think he would start out as number 1 on the depth chart. But Alaric Jackson, if we're going to go by his Twitter feed, he's gunning for Joseph Noteboom's job. That's my top 10 roster battles really covered almost every position group. But I think all of them are valid roster battles that are going to happen with this team. Pretty strange for an NFL team to have that many roster battles. I mean, typically for the Rams the last few years, maybe 2 or 3, but I think all 10 of these are yet to be decided. Going to be a lot of fun, going to make preseason really interesting. You know, in years past, you could tell who was making the team for sure by the guys that didn't play. Those are the guys that are on this team for sure, on the 53-man roster. This year, the Rams can't afford to do that except for maybe a handful of guys. There's going to be a bunch of guys getting rotated in, getting playing time, so the Rams can figure out who is on that 53-man roster. And even these youngsters that are going to be on the roster, the Byron Youngs, the Steve Avilas, the Nick Hamptons, yeah, they're going to be on the roster for sure, but you know what? They're going to be playing a lot too.
This is Mariah from Rams Up. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
I mentioned last week that I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to my Sports Pet Peeves segments. Really having difficulty finding new ones. And then Major League Baseball handed one on a platter to me. Let me ask you this. Who's the best team in baseball right now? Tampa Bay Devil Rays, right? Probably without question. Who are the World Series favorites in the National League? Probably go with the Braves and the Dodgers. I bet you Dodgers are at the top of that list right now. They played each other the Sunday morning before Memorial Day. Two of the top franchises in baseball, Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Los Angeles Dodgers, morning game. And you know, before I go any further, let me say, as I've stated many times before, I think baseball needs to figure out a way to attract younger fans. They need to get their product out there in front of people. They need to market better, and they need to be smarter about getting games on national television. The Dodgers and the Devil Rays, perhaps the two best teams in baseball, on a Sunday morning before Memorial Day. No NFL competition, no NBA games that morning. You want to watch that game? Good luck. Even in Southern California, I called my sister who lives in Los Angeles. She's listening to it on the radio. It's only on Peacock. Same here for me. Had no luck finding that game anywhere. Searching all over TV. Finally figured out, yes indeed, if you don't have Peacock, you can't see the Dodgers and the Devil Rays on a Sunday morning. And you know what happened in that game? 11-10. Tampa Bay holds on for the win. Crazy game. Really entertaining, at least from the box score I read. Probably be a lot more exciting if I could have actually watched it. But hey, nobody in Los Angeles was watching it unless you have Peacock. Crazy. For myself, I had to settle for women's college lacrosse. Nothing against women's lacrosse. Actually pretty entertaining. But I'd rather watch my Dodgers. Really sad for Major League Baseball. They're missing the boat on this. Got to figure out a better way of getting premium games in front of fans, as many fans as they can. A holiday weekend, a Sunday morning, and the Devil Rays and Dodgers are basically blacked out in Los Angeles and probably everywhere else. I'm not even sure. Major League Baseball, figure it out. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website at ramsup.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.
Music courtesy of the YouTube audio library. Tracks featuring Bar Crawl by Track Tribe. Buckeye Bonzai by Vans in Japan, and Crimson Fly by Huma.